Alrighty. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for our webinar on discovering the future of medical documentation. I'll start off by introducing myself. I'm Joshua Seguin. I'm an AI sales consultant at Wellstar, and I'm joined by my partner, Ryan, who's the Alberta or West Coast rep who we'll be meeting shortly today. Before we get started, I just want to go over some webinar logistics. All attendees today are in listen-only mode. We are recording this webinar, so it'll be available to all of you after the event. If you do have any questions during the webinar, please submit them in our Q&A feature. We'll do a Q&A session to answer some of your questions towards the end. Here's our agenda for today. First off, we'll go through a brief product overview of what Nexus AI is and how the tool works. We'll then move on to a product demo with the help of Ryan, and we'll show you how the tool works in action. And then we'll close things off with the Q&A session to answer some of your questions about how we can use this tool to leverage it in your practice and the funding as well. I want to touch briefly on a subject that I'm sure many of you are all too familiar with in physician burnout. In recent years, there's been a surge in discussions on the subject, and with the occurrence of burnout steadily increasing. These recent statistics from the CMA show 53% of physicians reported experiencing burnout in 2021. And that was a huge increase from just the 22% reported in 2018. Additionally, 60% of physicians stated that their mental health had worsened since the onset of the pandemic. Some factors that contribute to this burnout are increased patient volumes, time spent on documentation after hours, and the ongoing administrative complexities that come with managing a practice. Now, not only does burnout impact physicians' health and well-being, it can also lead to heightened medical errors and diminished quality of care. So the demand for efficient documentation methods has never been more important. Achieving a balance between delivering top-tier care and managing the ever-expanding administrative workload calls for streamlined and effective solutions. So innovative approaches like our AI scribe are emerging, and they're promising solutions that are able to help physicians save time on administrative tasks and streamlining their documentation. It encompasses everything from diagnostic notes, patient histories, and your encounter notes as well. So what is ambient scribe or an AI scribe? Well, it's a tool that's capable of listening to your patient encounters and automatically generating a clinical note for you. And so following along on the screen here, step one is that Nexus AI will pick up the context and the conversation between you and your patient. The tool is then smart enough to process that transcription and sort out what's medically relevant from the weekend weather and small talk to produce a SOAP note or whatever template note you might be looking for at the end of your interaction. And then your job will be to review that SOAP note and simply copy it and paste it into the patient's chart. And we're typing, jotting down notes, or formatting. We've included this slide because it's important to understand what an AI scribe is capable of and where the limitations come in as well. And so, as I mentioned, it can transcribe your patient encounters in real time. It'll generate your structured clinical note, like your SOAP note. It integrates with the EMR for seamless documentation. And we're going to drive home on this a little bit later. But it's also capable of learning and adapting provider preferences over time. Some things an AI scribe cannot do is fully replace your clinical judgment or your documentation review. It can't handle highly complex or fragmented encounters without oversight. And it doesn't operate without occasional human correction. So the tool is designed to enable you, get you 99% of the way there, but it's not going to be taking anyone's job. So here's Nexus AI. It's our scribe that, in this case, is pictured as a web app. We are going to explain what the integration will look like and when it's coming, which is very soon in Healthquest. But for now, it's pictured as a web app, which you can access from the mobile phone or in the background to your EMR. And soon enough, it'll be a little icon that shows up inside the EMR that you can pop open. It'll look like this. We've included a couple of points here to touch on because we've talked about what an AI scribe is capable of, but what does that translate to in terms of an impact for the physician? Well, it can save you 2 hours per day on patient charting. It improves the patient experience and it reduces burnout for physicians and administrators. And we've gone out and actually quantified this in our Ontario MD pilot. And we're going to talk about that on a slide that's upcoming. But as a preview, that's the impact that it has from the capability of summarizing and generating your clinical notes. We've included this slide because we want to spend a little time talking about the key features and the direction for where this tool is headed. So we can talk about how much more of an impact it'll have down the road as well. So these key features to touch on here, first is the enhanced note quality. The quality of the AI is really important and fortunately, invested heavily into that. And the reason this is important is because it improves the ability of the AI to capture the notes accurately and avoid including information or hallucinations that shouldn't be in the notes. This is especially important for the roadmap of where we're going with this tool, which is to not only summarize your note, but if you've mentioned a prescription you're writing or a lab order that you have to process after, or perhaps a referral where you're sending the patient off, those are going to be drafted within the EMR after your note. So it's as simple as sending it off and saving it to the patient's chart. And that's a huge time-saving feature that we're around the corner on and in testing phase for. I also wanted to touch on the template customization. We have 75 preset templates beyond just the standard SOAP note. We do understand how important, excuse me, the SOAP note is, but some of you may prefer a different style of note or a different format, so we've removed all limitations here. The drop-down menu and the customizing option allows you to tell us what you'd like the note to look like, so that when you're finished your interaction with the patient, the note will come up in exactly that format. This can include our next point here, referral letters, consult letters, and we also have a built-in patient handout section, or button rather, to generate one. What that looks like is after the SOAP note's done, you may be looking to generate your referral letter, consult letter, maybe an e-form, and you're able to do so with the click of a button or changing the template from a drop-down menu. The patient handout option is actually just a summarized take-home list. By popular feedback, we've added that in so you can simply click a button and it'll pop up the action items that you can send off in a message to that patient so they don't forget to follow up or book in or take their prescription. And that's, you can send it off by email or send it off by message or even print it out for them. We have multilingual support. So 35 plus languages are available within our library. You can have a conversation in up to 4 selected preferred languages, and your notes will come out in English. We're going to show this through the demo and the settings tab in a moment. EMR integration. So I've touched on this already, but the tool does have plans to be integrated into the EMR. Just wasn't ready to go for today, so our demo is going to show you the standalone app. But this is very soon coming. We'll be announcing as soon as it's available as an icon within the EMR. And that's especially important for that roadmap I was talking about, for those next steps of drafting your prescription, your lab order, and working inside the EMR instead of a separate window. And then safety and security. I just want to take a step back for a second to recognize the importance of this. Well Health is a publicly traded company. We own Ocean, Doctor Care, multiple EMRs. We have over 200 clinics across Canada, and we own cybersecurity companies as well. So we don't take lightly that this tool is only valuable to you if it's safe to use for clinicians and for patients. So we have a slide dedicated to this later to touch on as well. So now I'm going to call on Ryan. We're going to do a live demo. It's an example of an encounter and show you what the note will look like. At the end, I'm going to stop my screen share here and turn it over to you, Ryan. I'll let you introduce yourself and then take us away with a product demo.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. Pleasure to be here today. Thank you for coming. So just to formally introduce myself, my name is Ryan. I'm the Alberta-based consultant for the WellStar team, and I will be taking us through our live demo of Nexus AI today. So just bear with me for 1 second while I share my screen here. Josh, are we able to see my screen right now?
Perfect. Good to go.
Okay, perfect. So as Josh mentioned, this is going to be fully integrated into Healthquest in the near future. As of right now, this is our standalone app, has the same functionality as the integrated version. This will just simply allow you to use it over the next couple weeks while we finalize everything for you. So once we log in, we're going to see two main functions of the tool. The first button is just the simple create a new note, new encounter button. Below that is where we're going to see our encounter history that we have segmented into unreviewed and reviewed to allow you to stay a little more organized. Unreviewed simply means you might want to jump back into that note at a later date, and reviewed means you simply input that into your patient's chart and completed it. Below that is going to be our settings section. This is where we can set our preferences of your own profile. So what we're going to see first, as Josh mentioned, are all the languages that are available. So I will do a quick scroll through. There's roughly 35 languages to choose from. And as mentioned, we can select up to 4 languages at a time that either you or your patient can speak in, and then have that transcribed back into an English note for you. Below that, we're going to see our template customization section. So this is where we come if we ever want to create a note, simply copy and paste, hit save, and within 1 to 3 business days, that note will be created and you will have access to it. Below that, all we're going to see is our default note template, and this is what we can simply do to select a note we want it to automatically go to every time we go into an encounter. So right now I have it on SOAP note bullet point, but as you can see, as Josh mentioned, there's over 75 templates that you can choose from. So I do recommend playing around, seeing what works best for you and your practice. Once this is done, we can simply hit save, and then the tool is off and ready to use. From there, we're going to jump back into the create a new note on the top left. Now, in order to use the tool, all we're going to do is simply click on the little green microphone. Now, once we do that, it is going to ask if you've gained verbal patient consent. We do need to gain consent in order to use this tool. That conversation can go as, I'm using an ambient scribe for the purpose of my note taking. This allows me more presence in my conversation with you. Is that okay? 9 times out of 10, patient doesn't have a problem. You're then able to use the tool. So Josh, I'm using an ambient scribe for the purpose of my note taking. This allows me more presence in my conversation with you. Is that okay?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, fantastic. So once we've gained consent, all we do is hit the little green button. And once we do that, we are going to see that the tool is off and running and recording. Now, just before I jump into a role play here, I just want to show you a couple other features. Now, at the top, we can see that it does have this labeled as patient 048. So if we're inputting this right away to our patient chart, you can leave it. If we are going back at a later point, we can simply put in our patient's names, initials, and save that just to make it a little bit more convenient when jumping back into our encounter history. Below that, we can see it did go automatically to our SOAP note bullet point. And then the last feature I'm going to share here before we jump in is our scratch pad feature. Now, this feature allows you to include anything that you might not want to verbalize in front of the patient. That could be as simple as patient smells of alcohol or patient looks anxious. Again, anything we don't want to say out loud, you want included in the note, we simply type that in here and then it will be included in that note for you. So jumping into just a role play now so we can see what is produced. So Josh, what brings you in today?
Hey Ryan, thanks for seeing me today. I've had a sore throat for the last 3 days. Really hurts to swallow, and I think I've got some swelling. I wanted to come and see you.
Okay, and are you experiencing any other symptoms other than the sore throat?
I do have a bit of a cough, and I think I've got a bit of a fever too.
Okay, and has anyone in your household been sick recently?
No, nobody in the household's been sick, but I do take public transportation to and from work, so I may have picked something up there.
Okay, and have you been taking any over the counter, any tea, any Tylenol, or anything like that to help with the pain?
No, not yet. No other medications, and I'm not on any medications either.
Okay, and do you have any known medical allergies?
Nope, no allergies for me.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I'm just going to have you jump up on my examination table here so I can take a better look at you. So, upon feeling your throat and your lymph nodes here, I can tell they are quite swollen. Are you feeling any tenderness on the left or right side when I'm pressing here?
I do feel tenderness, yeah, on both sides.
On both sides. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and take a look in your throat as well. See, it is quite red. I do see some exudate on the back of your throat as well. And taking your peek in your ears next here. So left ear looks good. Right ear looks like you do have some fluid built up. Are you experiencing any sort of earaches or a feeling of pressure associated with this at all in any of these ears?
Maybe the right ear a little bit. I do feel a little pressure. Yeah.
Okay. Gonna go ahead and listen to your breathing as well here. So breathing does sound good, so that's great. Gonna check your vital signs as well, your blood pressure, your pulse, and your temperature here. So your blood pressure looks like it's about 120 over 80. Your pulse is about 70 beats per minute. And it looks like you do have a temperature of fever of about 38.8 degrees. So what I'd like to do to see if we can rule anything out is we'll do a rapid COVID-19 test as well as a strep throat swab, and then we'll go from there. Okay, Josh?
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds great.
So just jumping out of the role play for 1 second, if we do ever want to pause and leave the room and not have it recording, we can hit that little button on the bottom right. You can also leave it recording. Again, it's going to throw at anything that's not relevant, but just wanted to show you that feature nonetheless. So jumping back into it here. So Josh, it looks like the COVID-19 test did come back as negative, but unfortunately you did test positive for strep throat. So what I'm going to prescribe you to take is amoxicillin for the next 7 days, 500 milligrams, 3 times a day. Want to make sure we complete this whole prescription, even if you're starting to feel better. And if you're not at that point, we'll have you come back in for reevaluation, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good.
Now, Josh, last time we spoke, you also mentioned that you've been dealing with some knee pain. Is that something that you're still dealing with?
Yeah, I do have a lot of knee pain on the right knee. I wanted you to take a look at that today as well. It seems like whenever I'm standing up and down or into a deep squat that I can feel the pain in my right knee.
Okay, and how long have you been dealing with this?
It's been about a month now. I've been feeling the pain for a month now, but it's only really when I'm using the knee. Yeah.
Okay, and was there anything that triggered it, an accident, a sports accident, or anything like that, or did it just kind of start on its own?
I did get injured in a soccer game. I kind of went down funny and hit my knee, and so I did feel some pain after that. So that's probably where it came from.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna have you jump up on my examination table here. We'll do a McMurray test. We'll also just do some mobility tests to see if I can notice anything. So upon moving your knee here, I can see the functionality is quite good. However, are you feeling any pain when I'm pressing and moving your knee?
I do feel a little bit of pain on the outside. It feels a bit tender on the outside of my right knee.
Okay. Well, structure looks good, but what I'm going to do is refer you to a physiotherapy, so that we can see if they can diagnose anything further, and hopefully we can get not only your throat sorted out, but your knee as well. Okay, Josh?
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Perfect. So from there, once you include that encounter, all we're going to do is hit the little stop sign button here in the bottom right. And in a matter of about 3 to 5 seconds here, that note is then going to be created for us. So we can scroll through quick. We can see that entire encounter has been created. We can make edits in the tool, or we can simply copy, bring that over into our Healthquest here, and we can paste that in. And we can see that that entire encounter has then been pasted into our Nexus template that we have built out in Healthquest for you. So we can see our subjective, we have our sore throat, we can see the medication and allergies, nothing recorded. We have the knee pain. We also see that the objective is handled here, the assessment, the plan, and at the bottom, we're also going to see that the patient has provided informed consent, and you're going to be able to see that timestamp at the bottom of when that encounter occurred. So again, if we want, we can make any edits directly in HealthQuest here, or we can jump back and make those edits in the tool. Now, if Josh is forgetful, what we can also do is we can create a patient handout for him. And we can just do that by creating a patient handout with this button here in the bottom right. So we simply click that. And again, in roughly 3 to 5 seconds, everything we discussed today will be provided. You can then copy, paste, email, print out for Josh, whatever works best for you in your practice. Last thing I'm going to show you here is that we do have our SOAP note bullet point created, but if we do want to create multiple templates, we have that ability as well. So we can simply click here, see all the templates available. We did create a referral. So for this example, we'll do a referral template. In a couple of seconds, that will then be created for us that we can then use as needed. We can see it will include Josh, 35 male, right knee pain. So you can create as many templates as you'd like. You can also see the transcript itself that will include everything we spoke about. But if all looks good from there, we can simply jump back into the note. We can mark copy and mark reviewed if we put it into our patient chart. And then we'll have the ability to see anything in our encounter history for unreviewed. And for reviewed, we'll be able to see Josh here at the bottom. So that's Nexus AI. If you do have any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A section so we can answer them at the end. And I will toss it back to Josh. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. I'll steal the screen share here and continue on through our presentation. A couple more things we want to talk about before that Q&A. Just bear with me while I put the screen share together. How's that look? All good?
Looks good. Yeah.
Perfect. So, um, I wanted to talk a little bit about how we've quantified from a pilot how effective this tool can be in practice. And so on the screen here, we have the results from our Ontario MD pilot. A couple of main points to cover here. First and foremost is the efficiency and time savings. We've found patient or providers saved on average 3.5 minutes per patient encounter, translating to roughly an hour to two per day, or 10 to 12 hours weekly. It also alleviated 85% of cognitive load, less recall, less trying to remember details and match them up to which patient when catching up on notes. We found an improved quality of patient interactions. So the use of the AI scribe during consultations actually led to an increase in comfort and satisfaction for patients. They reported feeling more comfortable and enjoying their visit when a physician was less distracted jotting down notes or maybe focused on their computer and typing away. 78% of interactions were perceived to strengthen the physician-patient relationship as well. This is an important one here is the improved accuracy and documentation quality. So using an AI scribe, we're able to achieve a 95% accuracy rate in transcribing not just basic examples like the one we went through today, but complex medical terminology. This will minimize risk and errors and omissions for the provider as well. I also promised that we would touch on privacy. This is a really hot topic. So we, of course, do have the PHIPAA and PIPEDA approvals. The data is hosted on Canadian servers. Data is stored for 48 hours, unless you'd like to delete it sooner from your history tab, which you absolutely can. It's important to note that this is a Canadian company built by Canadian doctors and researchers. So we do adhere to all the regulations needed for the funding, which I'll get to in a moment, as well as safe use for providers in Canada and patients. We, of course, were approved for Ontario MD pilot that we ran, the Canada Health InfoWay funding program I'll talk about in a moment, and the major health authorities also gave us approval to roll this out across Canada. So this slide here discusses the Canada Health InfoWay AI Scribe program. So Nexus AI is a pre-qualified vendor of this program. Program will fully fund up to 10,000 one-year AI Scribe licenses for eligible primary care clinicians. This officially opens up in June. Here we are. And there's a set number of available licenses for the program. And so we encourage you to express your interest to learn more and be notified about enrollment for this national program. And so our team has cleverly put together a nice and easy way to get in touch with us to express your interest to be included in this funding program. So the QR code on this screen and on our Q&A screen next is something simple that you can pop up your phone, look at it, scan it, and you'll be able to set yourself up a trial account of Nexus AI and be included in the funding list that we're submitting. Now, with the integration piece that's coming soon, we'll also be notifying all Healthquest users once that's available, how to use it, and Ryan will be in touch for next steps on that front. But in the meantime, you can express your interest to try and get in for that funding as soon as possible. I'll move it over to our Q&A session now, and I'll navigate myself to the Q&A feature here. Again, you can see on the screen what we're looking at here is the QR code, the same QR code that you can scan to express your interest. So I've got a few questions to walk through here. We have a question about clinics needing to update their PIA, which is a privacy impact assessment. Absolutely, you can request that if you'd like. It is important to know that this is approved for Healthquest users and it's approved for all Canadian providers. We had to go through rigorous testing to be included in the Canada Health InfoWay project and for this to be safe to use for primary care providers or all providers rather. So we can provide any documentation you may be looking for if you want to be on the extra safe side, but you can know comfortably that this is safe to use for all providers in Canada. Do the recordings get stored indefinitely or are they deleted after a certain time? Is there a storage limit? So the default setting is to delete all recordings, transcripts, and notes after 48 hours. So within the tool, any recordings that are taken are deleted immediately at that 48-hour mark, unless you've deleted them sooner by clicking the delete button on each encounter. There is no storage limit, at least we haven't reached one, and it doesn't affect the performance of the EMR or your computer either. So it's cloud-based, so there isn't any concern on that front for the storage side. Do I need a microphone in my patient room? How can I work around that? This is a great question. This tool works on the computer that I'm using with a built-in microphone or any device with a built-in microphone. If you don't have one, Ryan will be able to provide some suggestions for a USB plug-in microphone, perhaps for exam room computers a little older that don't have a microphone built in. For physicians looking to get a head start on this while the microphone order is on the way, we do have a mobile app as well. So you can use the tool with your built-in microphone on your phone. And because your accounts are synced, when you're logged in on your phone, it populates your encounter history tab. So you can absolutely log in that app on the computer to transfer over your note for a simple copy and paste. And once it's available in the EMR, you can also click open there to copy and paste. I have a question here about templates. So we touched on it a little bit earlier, but the default template is a SOAP note, and we do have 75 existing templates that you can choose from: referral letters, consult letters, mental health applications, specialties, all of it. But if you find that you'd like a template designed that doesn't exist, perhaps a customized referral letter or a different template with social history, family history, etc., you can absolutely request that either through the settings tab or you can reach out to Ryan, who can have our development team create it. 1 to 3 days is usually the turnaround, business days, 1 to 3 turnaround. And then they can have that added to your account. Um, for now, we have to open up the standalone web app when we see a new patient and log in. Yeah, so around the login and the standalone application, yeah, absolutely. We recommend using Google Chrome as your browser to make this nice and easy to use. You'll pop open the standalone app. You'll be able to use the tool as we did in the demo, and then copy and paste either immediately after into the EMR, as we saw in our example, or you can come back within that 48-hour period to copy and paste anytime. Your login for right now is at the beginning of each day. So you come in, you log into your EMR, you log into your Nexus AI. Soon, once we're integrated, we'll be releasing single sign-on. So when you log into your EMR, it'll automatically log you into your scribe, nice and easy in one step. And we will give you an update as soon as that's available, which should be likely within the next month or two. After EMRA integration, do we still need to copy and paste? This is a great question. Immediately, yes, that's the quick answer. Soon enough, we will auto sync or push immediately. And that's an option that you can have for the scribe to push your notes after you're done right into that patient's chart. So that is coming soon. Is the trial available to primary care physicians only? Or can we sign up as a specialist? This is a great question. For the Canada Health InfoWay funding program, it does specify for primary care providers only. However, anybody can use the tool. Ryan will be able to communicate price points. Our website advertised right now is $129 monthly for a subscription. So anybody can subscribe, and we've had users subscribing for a little while now. But with this funding right now, for primary care providers, you have a chance to get your scribe covered for a year. So Some repeat questions in here. Can you go over the roadmap again? Yeah, I'm happy to discuss the roadmap. So, what that looks like for us is, as it stands right now, it's a scribe. It summarizes your note. You can get any template you're looking for. But the roadmap and why we've invested so heavily into the enhanced note quality is because if we get that accurate, identify the correct prescription or lab order or referral, we'll then be able to draft that right in the EMR. So you can send it off and save it to the patient chart without having to do that copy and paste. Those drafts will be pre-populated. So that's a big time-saving feature that's coming soon. It's actually in testing phase right now. So we do anticipate that to be available before the end of the summer. And then another exciting roadmap feature that's coming as well is our insights to billing. These are the possible billing codes that you've gone over with your patient. This may be the most profitable one. So that's another feature that's coming. That one I'm not allowed to promise a timeline on. It'll probably be for end of year or new year, but don't quote me on that, but it is exciting. We're working on it. Can I open this up on three different computers at the same time? That's a good question. You are absolutely able to access this from as many devices as you'd like. It is important to note that each provider needs their own account to be set up. So you can log in on your mobile phone and then also in an exam room and then another exam room and kind of have them running at the same time that we don't have any interruptions that way. But it is provider specific. So if you're in a shared exam room, you probably don't want to have yours up and running while another provider's coming in. Hmm, what other questions have we got here? If you have separate boxes for a soak note, will it paste automatically into the correct boxes? This is a great question and some discussion that's come up on our side. We do recognize in Healthquest that we do have templates that are kind of boxed out. And so in the demo today, you saw this new template come up, which can be a soak note for Nexus specifically. What's important about this is it's one text box. Because your fully complete SOAP note is a copy and paste, the ideal way to handle this is to use a new template, which will be a blank template. You don't need to format or copy and paste into individual boxes. You'll just use this new Nexus template. I'll leave it to Ryan to kind of communicate what that'll look like. I believe it's just called Nexus. So you can select that and then copy and paste the full note in. You don't have to worry about organizing the S, the O, and the AP sections individually. Any other languages? Yeah, if you do have language questions or you'd like to test it out in your language that you speak with your patients, by all means, Ryan can organize a product demo or speak to that with you. You can scan the code on the screen there and have somebody reach out to you, which will be Ryan. We have 35 plus languages. So if you have a specific one you're looking for, feel free to include that in your outreach or when Ryan touches base with you. We can absolutely walk you through an example and even set you up with trial access for you to test it out. Uh, if a physician gets the InfoWave funding, how soon do they have to activate it? That's a good question. So right now, how we're handling this is we are placing everybody on free trial for the month of June while we make your submissions for the InfoWave funding. If that all comes back, the subscriptions will actually start in July. So you can start your trial as soon as possible, ideally today or before the end of this week. And then we'll have you applied for that funding and we'll give you some good news halfway through the trial to let you know that it's been covered. The second part of that question is, does it begin right away? Do I need to use? So the recommendation here would be to set up your trial account and get in for the funding as soon as possible. Even if you're gone away on vacation for a week or two, then you can come back and use the tool and get to know it. But the priority here would probably be to get in for the Canada Health InfoWave funding as soon as possible. It is on a first come, first serve basis, and there's 10,000 seats available for all across Canada. So that would be my recommendation on priority. Sick note work form. Another roadmap feature we're working on is auto forms to be able to complete those long forms like an age or disability form with pre-populated information from the note in the EMR. That's something that's in the pipeline. We'll give you announcements on too. As you can tell, this is the future of medical documentation and time saving in the EMR. And we're really heavily investing into not just saving you an hour or two a day on your notes, but the next steps as well. We do encourage feedback. So if you're finding you have a specific form or a specific template or a sick note template or something like that, absolutely reach out to us. We can either solve the problem for you right away or put it on our roadmap for development to get you an answer soon. That's pretty much, I think we have a bunch of duplicate questions in here. If I've missed any of your questions, we will be following up, and this is a recorded webinar. So you'll be having some communication come through from our team. So you can rewatch, go back and see if any of your questions are answered. And we'll also follow up for questions that we might be missing here with a direct communication to answer your questions, help you get in for the funding, get a trial account set up, and help start to save you some time with your day. So at this point, we'll thank everybody for joining us today. Ryan and I are grateful that you spent some time with us this afternoon. If you do have questions, feel free to scan this code or reach out to us as well. I'm just going to flip to our next screen here. So you've got our email. You can absolutely visit our website or reach out to us by email here, but the best way to get in contact is through that QR code, or reply back when our communication comes out, either answering a question or offering support for next steps. So thanks everyone for joining us today. Hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you very soon.